Thank you for joining us wherever you are. This podcast episode is brought to you by the Old Ways Actual Play team. This actual play uses the RuneQuest rules by Chaosium Incorporated. This actual play is performed by adults and in an adult setting. Strong language, mature scenes, and rune magics are on the way. As this is our Glorantha, we will remind listeners that it may vary from the one you already know and love. And now, on to the show. Thank you for joining us again on another episode of the Old Ways Podcast. I am your storyteller this evening, Michael Diamond. My pronouns are he, him, and we are back with another episode in our 6 Seasons in Sartar campaign. I want to welcome you in to our little spot here in the Vale, and I want to thank you for listening. And if you're one of our amazing Patreon supporters, I want to thank you for supporting the show directly. It is a great way to show your support for what we do and what we can do in the future. Check out what we have to offer on patreon.com/theoldwayspodcast. If you're not subscribed over on YouTube, you can go do that. Just type in the Old Ways Podcast on YouTube. Find every aired episode of RuneQuest in our handy playlists as we divide everything by a playlist, and then jump over to Twitch at the Old Ways Twitch. So twitch.tv/theoldwaystwitch, and potentially see us do a bunch of stuff live. And now we'll get to our character introductions. To my right.
Hi, everybody. I'm Heather, pronouns she, her. I am playing Lysanna of Cliffshield, the apprentice healer and midwife of the Haraborn and follower of the Blessed Mother, Ernalda. And there we just had a very intimate moment talking about the dragon newt, among other things.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll just say to Lysanna's right.
This is Morgan, and I play Alara of Hillbase Stead, and our pronouns are she, her. Alara worships the great goddess of the earthquake, Marangor, and her best friend forever is Finn.
Fabulous. At the end of the table.
This is Jake playing Varghast of the Twice-Breast, follower of Orlanth and initiate of Shah the Rainbow Worm. And there have been changes.
There have been changes. I'm certain that your father, Gordangar, won't have any problem with them at all. And last but oh so certainly not least.
Hi, this is James, and I'll be playing Finn the Rapscallion, follower of Ermal, and sorrow to the many mothers of the village, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, just have them take a number at this point. So we're going to raise the curtain on our veritable theater of shenanigans tonight on Clay Date in Stasis Week during Dark Season. At this point, winter has fallen upon the Vale. The pale sun, which flickers weakly in the sky, it moves very rapidly each day. It's shorter and shorter than the one before. Even at noon, he barely lights the sky. A dark blue that fades to black on the horizon. The stars are so faintly seen. The nights now have gone bitter and black, with howling storms that claw at the door of your steads, and they tear at the roofs of your longhouses. Snow now piles high. Few venture in or out of the Vale, and never after sunset. It's clear that in each of the steads, the moods inside the cottages and longhouses are somber as men brood over the war and women console crying children. The Crimson Bat has crossed Sartar, leaving madness and terror in its wake. They say now it is headed to Whitewall, where surely its awesome power will break the siege at Broyan, and that city will fall. I would like to know, for the benefit of our audience, we'll just go around in introduction order. What I'd like to know is, when you are called upon, Lysanna, by your father, Haroth, and your mother, Nyanakal, during these times of cold and darkness, how do you find hope and warmth to sustain you through this season?
The work that I do with my mother in terms of preparing and bringing new life into the world. It's always a time of, well, the majority of the time, it's a time of happiness and joy. And when most adults take a moment or have a moment where they see the world through younger, kinder eyes, and that helps. There are those probably here and there where those moments where unfortunately things don't work out as well or as happily, where remembrance and coming together as families and of people are even more important. But I think everyone clings to those moments of happiness, and I am lucky enough to be part of that in some integral way.
All right. Alara, down in Hillbase, how are you, and with your parents, how are you managing a very tumultuous and cold part of the year?
Since my family are farmers, there's not a whole lot going on in the way of farming at the moment. However, they do probably keep count of what we have in stock for our village, and ensure that the food is not going bad, that it's safely stored and wrapped if need be, that there's enough hay and straw for the horses. And so I probably help them with all that. I feel like since after joining the cult of Marangor, that I would probably, winter would not be my favorite time of year, because the warmth and the fire beneath the earth, and so I'd probably keep myself wrapped a little more than usual, but I would still help my parents and, with the daily tasks. If cows or other wild beasts need to be milked or otherwise, I would assist with that.
Yeah, absolutely. There's something that you fight a little bit when it comes to this time of the year. It's a new challenge for you, and that is you find yourself often during the daytime going to the riddle to sit in your own secluded space there to absorb as much of Marangor's warmth as you can. It becomes a refuge during these first few weeks, probably more than you would realize at first. Being one of very few Marangor initiates amongst the entire Vale, you maybe feel a little secluded from the rest of the stead, because in truth, there isn't a ton to do. This is the hardest time for farmers, really, especially when much of what you've brought in doesn't seem to be enough. The reason why babies are crying is because they're hungry, because the Haraborn all over the steads are having to justify each meal and the size of it, because the yields have not been what they need to be. And this almost doubly and triply applies for you, Varghast. You are having to watch the furrowed brow of your father, Gordangar, deal with the heads of each of these steads as they occasionally will come to the ring and ask what is to be done about this. How shall we pick and choose between the people who go hungry or the people who struggle and those who don't? There is even discussion of speaking with the cotters and finding out if there are reserves there, if there are things that they have not yet turned in. Your father deflects some of this talk. He's concerned about the growing concern over what will happen with the Vale itself if they can survive this winter. But I wonder, what would you be concentrating on in this time?
I think I would try to do as much, try to hunt to supplement our supplies try to keep people's spirits up.
We'll put a pin in that, you hunting, right? And so as far as keeping spirits up, Finn, you are in the same longhouse circle, essentially, as Alara is. While not in the same physical house, but you are, basically a neighbor or two away. How are you? I wouldn't say the same thing. I won't start the same way because, well, you're a follower of them all, so I'm going to do things differently with you. After the first 5 or 6 jokes go afoul, and the eyebrows get raised, and some of the older men who are clearly Orlanthe warriors and likely have already had too much wine, after you get dagger stares from some of them, how do you find a way to get past it and grow and survive the snows?
Actually, Finn, once Finn has once again more than worn out his welcome, Finn probably disappears for a couple of days, and when he comes back, if anyone notices anything, he seems quite tired, and he disappears for large chunks of the day. In truth, what he is doing is he has built himself a ice fishing hut, and he is fishing as much as he can without bankrupting the river, essentially. And he is taking a lot of it and giving it to the families whose children are crying the loudest. Little bellies, regardless of the fickleness of the gods, should never suffer. So he gives, he can't give much, but he makes sure that the people who need it the most, are fed.
Okay, I like that idea. So we'll play through this a little bit because I think it could be fun. In your work, Lysanna, you happen by or you have to go to the inner ring. This is a joyous reason. So one of the women within the stead has given birth with your mother and your assistants. And you need to locate Morganeth, who will be within the inner ring. And at one point when you're walking to locate her, you see Vargas preparing probably some spears. It looks like he's preparing to go and hunt.
I will divert my path for slightly and find Vargas.
I mean, he's there.
So was your father angry? And she kind of reaches her fingers down and touches the hand with the tattoo on it.
I haven't actually told him yet.
Well, remember, it's your choice. He is the elder, he's the chieftain. But in the end, we've all gone through our initiation. We've all gone through. You're a man now, Vargas, remember.
Yeah.
It's your choice.
He has enough to worry about right now. I don't want to put another load on his mind.
Wow, that's true. We try, my mother and I. I mean, the births are wonderful and their families are happy, but you can always tell that there's just that underlying feeling. I wish the gods had been a little bit more generous this year. I know, and things are the way they are, but I don't want to doubt Arnalda's generosity and wisdom, but it makes it a lot harder when there's another mouth to feed.
Well, hopefully this year will be better.
Yeah. We just need to get through it. After this is done, I have to get over there. But after I'm finished, it's still a little chilly out. If maybe you want to find a bottle and maybe a little warmth.
I'd like that.
Okay.
The longhouse door opens with like a start. And you see Gordangar step out. Are you hunting?
I was going to. I was about to leave.
I have to take my leave. My mother's expecting me.
Of course.
We have another member of the tribe.
It actually seems to brighten his mood for a moment. Good.
New life always brings at least a little joy. And I should get there, or my mother will have my hide on to keep her warm. So I'll, later, Morghast?
Yes, later.
May the hunt be successful. I'm sure it will be. But may Ronaldo's blessings go with you and provide.
And Orlanth with you.
And I will start heading away.
Okay. Your father steps down and inspects a couple of the spears and some of the other equipment that you're planning on bringing. He seems to check the straightness, and then he turns to you and says, I feel something on the wind. I cannot tell yet what it is. I'll speak with Savan, but there is something out there. When you hunt, take a group with you. Do not go alone. And come back in one piece.
I will be careful, Father.
He's a pretty serious guy most of the time, but you can tell he's sort of being funny. He's not good at being funny. It's really never, humor is never a talent of his. He steps back in and you see Jorna, your mother, welcome him with like it looks like mulled cider or something like that. There's some sort of, you can smell the apples coming out of whatever mug she's handing him. And she gives you a nod and steps towards the longhouse door to close it. And she says, a hunt could take hours.
Yes. It'll be gone all day.
To your success.
Thank you, Mother.
She smiles and shuts the door. All right. So for you, Lysanna, stopping to see Morganath isn't necessarily going to the door because she doesn't live there. She lives basically on the other side of the longhouse that makes up the inner ring. So you sort of go all the way down this really impressive longhouse until you get to the other side. You get let in by one of the attendants to the High Priestess of Ronalda, and you are taken into her space, and you see that there's a small fire here that she's tending very carefully, and she seems to be just humming along, and she seems to be working with some of the, like something in a jar. She turns to you. Yes, my daughter.
Yes, another life has come into our fold. Another to be celebrated, and hopefully, if the hunt goes well that I know is going on, to be fed and fattened and to see the spring.
A hunt. She turns with the small pottery bowl. You can tell it's probably been made by Finn's father. She stirs it a little bit and takes something out of it and stares at the cup. She seems a bit curious.
Does it reveal something? You seem concerned.
A spirit comes out of the fireplace, like out of the hearth. It's an old woman, and she sort of dances around in the air. And you hear an elderly voice say, "There's a doe. Hurt. We are not sure. You must find it. The royal's doe is hurt." Now, for reference, the royal is the Wyter of the Haraborn, right? Lives way up on a hill somewhere. And people don't necessarily directly interact with it all the time, although it is possible to like actually speak to it. That's the rumor that you've heard.
Mm-hmm.
In this veil, the doe was a spirit that was defended when the veil was retaken. And the white doe is a companion to the Wyter. And so the look that Morganath has is very serious. And you can see that this elderly spirit here that is floating in the air is also very concerned. No blood. In many ways, she puts the cup down. She walks over to you with her fingers still, in this dark red. And she touches your forehead and draws a square.
I close my eyes and allow her to do so, leaning in a little bit for her. Make it easy.
Find this doe.
Wyter's companion. I will, yes, I'll go at once and see if I can. I think the hunting party was just gathering. Perhaps they can help.
Good. She turns back and begins sort of washing her fingers off and the spirit lingers there in the room. I don't say it watches you, but it just hangs there for a moment. And it starts humming a different tune, which Morganath eventually begins to mimic as they continue to look over this pot.
Thank you, Mother. I shall leave at once. And I will turn and leave and head straight back to where I left Vargas.
Sure.
I'll start there.
Okay. So, Morgan, Alara is probably coming back from the riddle at this point, having communed with Marangor. And she's moving along some of the well-used paths that take her back to Hill Base. And she sees something out of the corner of her eye that is sitting on the river. And for a second, it makes you very curious. And the reason why is it looks like it's some sort of lean-to or structure that is sitting out on the ice. And it's sequestered away. It's hidden back amongst some of the taller branches and perhaps some of the snowpack. If you had not been right where you are right now, you would not have seen it.
Yeah, I'll go down to the edge of the river. And how far away is it from the edge?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe Finn can tell us.
It's actually probably about 15, 20 feet out from the edge. It's a little ways out where the ice was a little easier to cut a hole in with his limited resources. Hatchet and burning stick. And just around that bend so that it's almost completely hidden.
So is it within yelling distance of the edge or no?
Oh yeah. It's within yelling distance. And if you look for even just a little while, I'm sure Alara would find poorly covered tracks that lead over to it in a kind of meandering roundabout way so that they would be quote unquote hard to follow.
Yeah, I guess instead of yelling, because it echoes, if it has started snowing or anything, a lot of times when it echoes in the wintertime. So I will walk my way over to the lean-to, over the ice, carefully treading, or planning my way, stepping in the same footprints as Finn, if they're available and still there. Is there a window in the lean-to?
Nope. Just basically a small door covered with tarp on one side, or like an old tarp kind of a thing on one side, and just enough ventilation at the top so that it doesn't look like whoever's inside suffocates or a small fire doesn't go out or kill them. Wonderful.
Hey, Mike, has it snowed, or is it just like it's cold as heck and...
No, it has snowed.
Snowed. Winter is here.
Winter is 100% here. I would say, given the Vale's position and given the elevation and the two mountains which you are between, I would say there is anywhere between 10 to 14 inches of snow on the ground.
Oh, so there's like a whole path has been dug out going to Finn's thing. Got it.
Yes.
I stay carefully on that path because I don't want to get, step in the 12 to 14 inches of snow. And yeah, I will go over to the lean-to door and just whip it open. Do I know it's Finn's lean-to?
Oh, I mean, the two of you know each other fairly well.
Yeah.
But I think that Finn has been working at keeping this a secret.
Okay.
And so I think you don't know who this is.
I don't want to just randomly whip the door open on somebody, or the flap open.
I think you do, actually.
You think I just
But that's just me.
whip it?
Yeah, you whip the door out open. So this is very shocking and bracing for you, Finn, as a blast of cold air comes in, and there is a covered up figure in, hunting furs and cloaks that keep people warm. Clearly a member of the clan.
You're letting out all of the heat, and I don't have much to spare. So either take what you want or come inside and close the door.
I stomp into his little lean-to hut / thing and, close the flap behind me and plop down. Finn, I'm like muffled behind this Finn. No, that's not a good muffling sound. Finn. There we go. That's better. And I take down the cloth and there I am.
Oh, it's you, Laura. I'm very happy to see you, and I almost filleted you. Puts the old rusty filleting knife down. I'm glad it's you. I really didn't want to add that to my conscience today.
I've been wondering where you've been. This is what you've been doing? Fishing?
Yeah. And he gestures to the various bundles of fish that are hanging about him.
I look up. How long have you been doing this for?
What day is it?
It is Clay Day.
Oh. He counts the empty jugs and such around. Yeah, that checks out. Yeah.
Well, why don't you take a break? Why don't you come home with me? And Mother has fresh chicken broth. It's super hot.
Most likely Finn's stomach betrays him at this point with a... Okay, but only for a little while. I have to get back to this.
Oh, what you need is sleep. Do you want me to help you carry these bundles?
Yeah, grab those 3 and I'll grab these 4. And we have to make a few stops on the way to your house.
Wait, we have to make stops?
At this point, Alara probably notices that Finn has circles under his eyes, those kind of dark areas and such. Yeah, we're making stops. You're dressed for it, and I will be dressed enough for it here in a few minutes.
I'll grab the bundles.
Yeah, you get the bundles, and Finn gets bundled up. You head back out into the snow and back towards the steads, and along the way, Finn makes very poignant, specific stops. And it doesn't take too long for you to realize what he's doing. You have heard within your own stead, within Hillbase, that there have been several houses which are in need. You know that some of the longhouses here have not been getting well fed enough. And Finn is continuing to make these deliveries to these places.
Yep, he hangs a bundle near the door and then just knocks and walks away. Come on, we only got 3 more, and then we'll have some of that broth.
And maybe some wine.
All right, well, now you've put a pep in my step. Come on, you. Let's use those legs for something good.
Feeling a little insulted right now, Finn.
Finn chuckles. Then my work here is done.
Yeah, you make your deliveries. That's not hard. You get back to the longhouse where the multiple families, including the 2 of yours, are within fairly close proximity. At this point, Vargast, Lysanna returns. It probably takes about 5 or 10 minutes, and suddenly she appears again.
That was quick.
Oh, good. You haven't left yet. I've been sent. There's a problem. We may need to change the focus of the hunt. We need to find the doe.
The doe?
Morganeth says that the doe is in peril. The Wyter's companion.
Ah.
The doe is... She didn't go into detail, but she says that we must find it, that it is in trouble, that it's hurt, that this has to be the priority.
Well, then we need to go. We need to get a couple more people with us. something out there. Again.
Well, let's hope it's something that, well, I don't know if I'd rather have lunars or something like that ogre that we had to deal with, but one way or the other, we need to find it. Unfortunately, that's all she gave me. Don't know where else to start. Unless we start where they were last seen.
Probably for the best. Like get some men, or maybe we want to keep this closer.
Considering the state of things, I don't think we want to send too much alarm, but having maybe a few more people checking in a couple directions might not be a bad thing. There seemed to be some urgency for this. If the doe is hurt, I can't imagine what would happen if the doe doesn't make it. But yes, rounding up our companions at least would help us.
Where was the doe last seen?
Again, wasn't given that information. Just the mark. But I wonder. Gav, we need to go find them. I'll think as we walk.
Okay.
All right. So the two of you are going to head then to gather your other, we'll just say closer friends amongst the Haraborn. And that is usually relatively easy because Hillbay Stead is where they both live. So you head down from the ring to Hillbay Stead. And for the sake of our Hillbay folks, you have had some fortifying chicken broth at this point. You have even managed to get a maybe half or maybe a whole chicken thigh within it. So there's been a little bit of additional protein that's been pushed into there. Carrots, and then maybe just a half hunk of bread. Once you've had enough, you figure to move on to the wine, which, along with the broth and the rest, really brings your spirits back.
Finn stands most of the time. Once he gets the wine in him, he does not want to fall asleep, so he finds himself standing against, he's got food and wine in him, so he's leaning against a post, but not sitting.
Okay, fair enough. Vargas, you get down there with Lysanna to trudge through the snow. You see there's some fairly well-worn snow paths now that have been worked. Actually, somewhat recently, you can tell people have walked through here.
Let's see, I wonder where they might be.
Well, was Finn down probably near the river? That would be where I would start.
Alara is most likely at her house.
Well, I can see about grabbing her.
Okay.
If you want to check down by the river,
Yeah.
We'll split up and we'll meet back.
Vargas, you head down towards the river. Lysanna, you head over to where Alara's longhouse is, and there isn't really a knock on the door policy that exists. It's not like today. You would just likely walk right in because you're there to see other Stead members. And when walking in, you see the both of them in this, half moon sort of common area at one of the tail ends where people sit and, take off all of the different furs that they have to wear to stay warm. And you smell some sort of soup. And they are both drinking something. You're not sure if that's wine or perhaps it's something else.
Oh, you're both here. Well, that'll make it easy. We'll have to go find Vargast. We have a quest.
Finn's shoulders visibly slump a small amount. A quest.
I get excited.
All right. Finn shakes it off a little bit. Reed takes a deep breath. I assume people need, quests are generally not, please bring in the linens. So,
As both of you notice the bloody square earth symbol on her forehead.
Lysanna, you have something on your, it's right on the, you know what? Never mind. It's fine.
Morgana has sent us. We need to go find the doe.
The deer?
Yes, a female deer.
No.
The companion doe.
Of course. So, do we know anything more than it needs to be sought by us?
The spirits have said that the doe is hurt. I don't know any more than that. I wasn't given any. All I was told is to find the doe. And soon.
Wait, as Finn starts laboriously putting furs back on. So wait. Are you telling me that the gods were somehow capricious and didn't give all of the information to something they wanted done? Puts another fur on. All right, well, so this will be different.
Varghest had, he thought you were still down by the river, so we'll need to go get him. If the doe is hurt, this could mean serious consequences.
We must do what we can. That would be a spirit that's loss would shake the Hillstead to its very foundation. And if we have been chosen, my words and barbed tongue aside, we should do our jobs and do them faithfully. Pulls the door open. Shall we?
I bet Alara is out the door already.
Yeah.
I was already
Wondering.
getting everything, getting my bow and arrow, and I'm running towards the river to find Varghest.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, the conversation there was a couple of minutes, and so you can probably very easily see his snow trudge line. He's cut quite a path for you to run along. And so catching him is not terribly difficult.
Finn offers his elbow to Lysanna through the snow and ice.
Yes. Thank you.
There are many people in this village that I would like to see fall down into a puddle of this slush. You, my dear, are not on that list.
I appreciate your thoughtfulness on this. Yes, I'd much rather be sitting around some warm fire, believe me. Generally with something hot to drink and something or someone to warm the rest of me. But Morganeth and the spirits very much let me know that this was urgent. So
Finn pats Lysanna's arm. Don't worry. We'll get this done. We'll find the doe and we will get you back to the feet of your mountain. Okay? It'll still be all quiet and stoic there waiting for you when we're finished.
Laura, you catch Varghest.
Yeah, I come to a sliding stop right behind him, but I don't hit him. Varghest.
Alara, you're not at home.
Well, I was, but Lysanna found Finn and I in my stead. We were drinking some wine.
Yeah.
Having some
good.
broth. Yeah. Do we have a quest?
Yes.
Sounds very important.
Yes, we just have to figure out where this doe is. In the Vale.
Well, I might have an idea about that. On how to find them. But can wait for Lysanna and Finn. They should be right behind me. Hopefully they saw that I left. They were just... You know how it is. They're just talking, and I'm like, come on, people. I mean, come on. Wait, that's what I say in real life.
As we come around the corner, we'll see Alara and Varghest standing there. Kind of looks at Lysanna, side-eyed. Oh, they actually make a fairly fetching couple, don't you think? Although I think their temperaments, they would tear each other apart. And within
they would
days,
completely tear each other apart.
He watches and he smiles with the half of his face that Lysanna can't see as they walk towards the other two.
You're going to get pushed in the snow is what's going to happen.
Would not be the first time.
No, definitely not. So the four of you join up.
It seems that they were together. I guess we could have stayed together and looked for them. But no matter.
Okay. So I'd love to hear where Alara thinks this doe is.
Well, it's not where I think this doe is. It's what I can do to maybe help find her. Okay.
What would you like to employ?
What I would like to employ is to go to my my worship area for Marangor in the riddle and summon a cult spirit. Because the Wyters are a spirit, right? So could I potentially call upon the Wyter?
Let's see here. What spell do you want to use?
Summon cult spirit?
So I was going to offer a sort of separate and perhaps less costly method of doing so.
Oh, okay.
Remember, you only get so many rune
You do.
spells. I thought that it might be reasonable to have our Haraborn draw on their knowledge of their homeland and about where deer paths are. It would be a homeland roll, which all of you should have homeland lore.
I have 50. What does anybody else have?
I got a 40.
Oddly enough, I don't.
Really?
But, yeah. I don't know.
That's fascinating.
I don't know how that
All right.
works.
What's yours, Vargast?
40.
40. All right, I'll roll.
That's a base of 30. So
You all could roll if you'd
Okay,
like.
everybody. Well, that's good. I got a 64 out of 50, so
it's 11 under 30.
Okay, 11 under 30.
73 over 40.
Mm-hmm.
83 over 40.
Okay. So, just a standard success. There are deer paths a lot of different places, but you would be aware that one place that you should probably check first would be the side of the Vale where the side of the Vale where the Royals' garden is, right? So, if we looked at our Vale map, one of the things that we could potentially tell would be that the Royals Grove is on the west side, right? So that is towards Cragradius's peak. So checking in and around from, say, the Riddle to maybe the Hall, maybe all the way up to River Bend, those are going to be your likeliest of places to search, which is great because Hillbase is right there. Like you need to cross the river and head to that side and probably do some searching. That might work out well in your favor.
So back to the original suggestion of we head to where the Wyter usually is or is normally found. And we start there approximately, but a little bit more together. So we start there.
Excellent.
I snort.
Finn shrugs. I know how to find fish. These are not fish. I'm not going to be helpful. Show me where we are going.
And that's why Lysanna turns and looks at Vargast.
So this is a track roll now to locate.
I am going to call on my air rune.
Ooh, I love that idea. You're going to call for runic inspiration. How would you like to be inspired by the air? In what way?
I am going to, as the winds will carry a spore or, the scent of an animal. So I would feel as if it would carry it to me.
Okay, I like that. So if you'd like to roll your air rune, go right ahead.
Well, that is 7 under 90. So boom.
Okay, so that is a significant success. So 7 under 90 is a special when it comes to runic inspiration. So you'll add 30 to your skill for this tracking roll.
18 under 40.
So it definitely paid off.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so standard success as far as the track roll. Alara has tracking as well. You're welcome to that to see if you could get a substantially better level of success. As I assume, and please, don't stop me if I'm wrong. I assume the two of you are probably in the lead on this.
Together.
Yeah.
Up front.
Yeah, together.
I was about to tell him how to track something, and then I saw him, and I was mildly impressed, so I just stood back and let him do his thing.
Lysanna, do you hear that weird grinding sound? What is that? It's like teeth grinding or something. I don't know. Anyway, we should catch up with them.
I don't know what you're talking about. And yes, we should. We'll be fine. We'll find it.
Okay. You track and eventually come upon, in one of the lower hills, a set of deer tracks. This is definitely a doe. It's too small, too light to be a buck.
I'll see if I can follow them. Maybe it caught some hair or something on a branch.
Yeah, you follow them for probably a good half hour through the snow. The snow here isn't as thick because in this space, the tree cover is excellent. And so not as much snow has gotten through. You get a lot of drift here. So your feet are able to get through the snow a little easier. You get to a slight rise before another part of the mountain on your left-hand side as you're moving goes higher. And that is when all of you hear a bleating, an animal crying in fear.
There. We should go there, right?
Yes, quickly.
Let's move.
The group hustles. You get to that next rise. You hear growling, snapping, and more whining. And as you come upon this next rise, you see a doe, ghostly shape, silvery white, fur splashed with blood, screaming in terror. And it's being flanked by two massive smolodons, big, thick, powerfully built, large, canine predators. We will refer to them as Mr. and Mrs. Saber. And so what I would like to know is what you are prepared to do about this problem and in what way you would like to deal with it. I would say, roughly speaking, at the start of this, you're about 80 feet or so from this fight that's going on. And it's not much of a fight, right? These two predators are circling a prey animal, and they look like they're going to pounce and eat.
I pull an arrow from my quiver and pull up my bow and prepare to shoot at the closest Mr. or Mrs. Sabretooth.
They're equally distant from you.
Okay, I'll take the one on the left.
Okay, well, fair enough. We'll talk about that in a moment. These are, for our listeners, what we're doing in as part of RuneQuest combat is we're making our statements of intent. That's the first step in any RuneQuest combat, right? So we sort of declare what we're going to do, and then that'll help build what we need to do. So, Lysanna, what are your plans? What is your statement of intent here?
I am going to, as I see Alara pull her bow and start to aim at one, I will focus on the other Mr. or Mrs. Sabretooth, one of the Sabretooth. And I am going to pull from my my spirit magic, and I plan on casting Ignite on the fur of that creature.
Okay, so you're going to cast a spirit magic spell. Varghast?
I'm not going to mess around with any small stuff. I figure I only have a certain amount of time before this doe is dead, so I'm going to cast Thunderbolt on one of the Smilodons.
Okay, you're going to cast a rune magic spell.
Yes.
And, of course, the whirling combat dervish that he is, Finn will let us know what he's going. What is your statement of intent, Finn?
Actually, he's going to ready his sling from the back. It's a decent ranged weapon, and he really feels like Alara and Varghast need to do what they're going to do right at the moment, and he doesn't want to get in the way of that. So maybe a slinged rock from a distance.
Okay. Slinged rock. So the sling is a ranged weapon. Okay, so what I'd like to do, though, is as we have all of our statements of intent, what I would like to do, and on the precipice of this combat, is call our episode here. And so we will pick up as combat begins next episode with these terrifying and, frankly, hungry predators, as our 4 Haraborn heroes are hoping to save a very innocent doe. So thank you, listener, for joining us for this episode of 6 Seasons Sartar. I look forward to the next time when we get to mix it up. So thank you, and good night.